This episode is sponsored by ODP Business Solutions, built to address all your facility needs. Visit odpbusiness.com today. In a competitive market, landing a great account is only half the battle. Some say that keeping it is when the real challenge begins. As competitors circle and customer needs evolve, sales professionals must stay sharp, proactive, and deeply in tune with their clients. In today's conversation, we're joined by an expert business coach who will walk us through 4 essential rules to help you protect your most valuable accounts from being poached. And our guest today is Dave Kahle, frequent guest on Straight Talk and someone who knows all about sales. Dave, welcome.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here, Jeff.
I like this topic, Dave. Let's get into it and talk about how to
Okay.
keep these accounts. Let's start with the big picture.
Okay.
Why do good accounts tend to slip away even when everything seems to be going so well?
Because we get complacent and cocky, honestly. But let's first identify what we're talking about here. And when I say good account, I mean, the top 5% in a company or the top 5% in a salesperson's territory. And these are the accounts where you have most of the business, and probably as a composite, this 5% provides about 50% of your income. So we're talking about significant accounts here for which you have deeply penetrated. And what happens is we just get complacent. We take them for granted. And it's a good account. Competitors looking for it. Competitors there. We're gonna try to penetrate, pull it away from you. So there's things you can do.
Well, let me ask you this, Dave. What's maybe a warning sign that tells you a competitor is circling and you better
Yeah.
pay attention?
Yeah, I don't know that there is a warning sign. I would say these are things you want to proactively do to prevent, to shut the competitor off should he or she try to make inroads to that account. These are things I want you to do whether you sense somebody's after it, because they will be after it. Sooner or later, they will be after it. So that's a given.
Okay. Well, get into it. What are the 4
Okay.
rules that you want to share with us today to make sure this doesn't happen?
Yeah. So number one is create stronger personal relationships with the key decision makers. So this, and for the most part, this means you have to entertain. You have to create a relationship with each of the key decision makers that goes above and beyond just the business relationship. And in my day, I would entertain. I was selling in the city of Detroit, and I would several times, maybe 5 or 6 times in the course of the summer, I'd take 2 customers, actually 3 customers and their spouses, myself and my spouse, to dinner at Greektown, if everybody knows Detroit, Greektown, and a Tiger game. And I had 2 rules. Number one, I'll pay for everything. Number two, we can't talk business. And we just created relationships, got to know each other better, and that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So number one, create stronger personal relationships so they see you as a friend. And honestly, it's tough. It's tough to tell a friend taking the business elsewhere. It's not impossible, but it's tough. And so that's what you want to do is make it more difficult. And that's rule number one. Create deeper personal relationships. That's number one.
As the modern workplace evolves, organizations must evolve as well. They need a partner that understands this new world of work. We are that partner. We are ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division. More than just office supplies, ODP is a force for change, helping address technology transformation, sustainability, innovative workspace design, cleaning, break room, and more, making organizations everywhere say, oh, when they see how much more we can do. ODP Business Solutions.
Number two is close any open doors. And this goes back to my statement about being complacent. So an open door is some situation within that account that a sharp competitor would just blow right through. So typically that means things that you kind of have taken for granted, you're not really on top of. So, they got stuff sitting on their shipping dock that you really should have written that return authorization, a month ago, and you just, it's not a big deal. Just never got around to it. Oh, that's an open door. If I'm a competitor walking in there, think, hey, something's wrong here. Let me pursue that. Stuff like that, things that should have been taken care of that aren't. And probably the biggest open door is excessive pricing. And when I say that, I mean in an account like this, you've probably been there a while, you've been around a bit, and that means that there's a natural tendency to pad your margins, and you may have some products in that account that are, let's say, above the market rate because they haven't looked at it for a long time, and you've been there a long time. And those items that are priced higher than what they should be, that's an open door. And so it means you have to be methodical about that. If I was a competitor looking to penetrate an account, I'd look for things products I could buy my way into, and that would be anything that's excessive, that's way above market price. Oh man, that's going to make you look bad, and it's going to be an open door for the competitor. So, rule number two, close any open doors. So, rule number three is have regular business review meetings. And what I mean by that is you and your boss arrange for an hour or so with your key contact and his or her boss, and you review the status of the relationship, what they're buying, what your fill rates have been, what your back order rates are, all that kind of stuff that you can show on a computer printout, get computer printouts of everything you possibly can, and then just sit down and kind of talk through them. Then you all go to lunch. That's a business review meeting. And it shows that you're concerned above and beyond just the product. You're concerned about the relationship. You're gonna have a meeting to talk about how you're doing, have them, score you. You can even have a little score chart, a chart to have them use. And then everybody goes to lunch afterward. And I will tell you, I would say, from my experience, maybe half the time you all go to lunch afterward. When it's all done and you're walking to your cars, somebody's going to say, "Hey, Dave, by the way, we were thinking about this. Maybe you can talk to so and so about it." And you just get opportunities that you wouldn't have had elsewhere. This does a couple things. One, it shows your concern. Number two, it closes any open doors. And number three, it cements relationships. So that's a really powerful thing. A regular review meeting. How often should you have them? Well, depends on the account. Quarterly, or every 6 months at the least. Yeah. And then the last thing is incredibly powerful, and I call it bundling up the business, bundling up the business. So what this refers to is, let's say they're buying, 15 SKUs from you, and you have very methodically opened the door for each of them, and demonstrated and so on. And so from your perspective, there are 15 different items. But so what would happen if you went in and said, you've been buying these 15 items from us. Let's put this together in one contract. And in fact, because we'll put it together, and we'll guarantee the price for a year or something, you guarantee the business for a year. In addition to that, we will offer a rebate on total business over and above what we have here. So you in that you create the idea this is a contract, so they can't take one item and give it to anybody else because then it's blows the whole contract. And the biggest thing here is the rebate. Now you're thinking, wait a minute, am I giving away margin? No, because it's on the excess, it's on the increase. Number one, you're solidifying the business you have. Number two, any rebate you have is on the increase, not on the regular. Let's say you're doing $100,000 with a business. You say, for every $1,000 over that, we'll rebate you 3% or something. Okay, well, the customer sees the 3% of something new, but from your perspective, you're amortizing that percentage over the whole thing. and it's almost nothing. 3% of 1,000 amortized over 100,000 is almost nothing. You can easily make it up on incremental ads that people will add because they want to hit those rebates. Some from I learned this the hard way when I was selling, and the competitor had a bundled situation. Well, I was selling to hospitals, and one of my accounts, I discovered there's a product line called NG tubes, which are the tubes that they put down your throat to help you breathe and so on. And they come in all different sizes and configurations and sterile and non-sterile, maybe 50 SKUs in a whole line. And it's a good chunk of business in a hospital. So an annual contract might be 50, $100,000 of NG tubes. So I had the exact same brand as the competitor, my arch competitor, and I discovered that they were like about 30% more than I was. So I thought this is exciting, man. I could just pick this one off, big chunk of business. And I remember talking to the purchasing agent, and when I mentioned that, she got a glazed look over her eyes, and she said, "We buy that from American." That was my arch competitor. And I said, "Oh, I understand," and blah, 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 blah. Glazed look on her eyes. We buy that from American. Like an automaton, just what? Hey, is anybody in there? We buy that from American. Well, it turns out they had a contract. They had a bundled contract with American. They would gladly pay 30% more on a big, pretty significant product line to keep the contract in place. They wouldn't break one item off even if they save 30% on it. And I thought, whoa, this thing is powerful. A couple of years later, my company decided to do the same thing, and we put together a program. So you can do that. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful way to solidify the business in a key account and prevent a competitor from making inroads. And believe me, I know it because I was the competitor.
So you sell those tubes for 50 to 100,000. I wonder what they charge the patients.
Oh, I mean, that was for the whole thing. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of SKUs in that.
Yeah.
So
All
who
joking
knows?
aside, good strategies. And I did catch a couple of things, Dave. You mentioned lunch or meals out a
Yeah,
few
yeah,
times. So
yeah.
how important that is in the negotiate or in the dealing with clients and the sales cycle.
I think it's a lost art, and it's too bad.
Hmm.
What we're talking about here is getting to know people by spending time with them outside of the office in a non-business setting. And that was really one of the best things I've ever done. Sometimes we ought to just talk about that, Jeff. I mean, the whole concept of entertaining, how you do it well, and the implications. I mean, I have honestly millions of dollars of business that I can attribute to entertaining events.
Yeah, I remember we talked once about $1 million deal you did with one meal, something like that,
Yeah,
where,
yeah,
but some of this old school
yeah,
communication, networking, having a
yeah,
meal with someone,
yeah.
that's got to play into a strategy even today.
The bigger the dollar volume of business, the more important it is for them to feel comfortable with you.
Hmm.
And by you getting to know them, by creating an opportunity for them to get to know you outside of the office in a non-business setting, that makes them comfortable. And by just as an aside, I always took my wife, and I always entertained with spouses
Sure.
because it was oil in the gears, just made everything smoother and better.
Mhm.
And sometimes I think with the customers thinking about giving the business to somebody else, their wife wouldn't let them because their wife liked my wife, and that was enough. You know?
Good strategy.
Yeah.
Dave, you and I should do lunch sometime, but then you'll probably sell me something.
I don't know. I might buy something from you, Jeff.
Sounds like a plan. Great topic today. Thank you for sharing this. Sales professionals watching this episode, if they apply these four rules, will definitely keep their top clients, or we hope that they will.